What's going on, my Battlefield friends, and welcome back to another BF4 weapon review. Now, I recently posted my Slayer loadout, which featured the G36C, and I got plenty of clips while ranking that weapon up, trying to unlock the relevant attachments that I needed. So with all these clips on my hard drive, I thought it was quite fitting to then produce a weapon review for this gun. So let's crack straight on and take a look at the facts and figures of the G36C in Battlefield 4. So design-wise, the G36 by H&K is one of my favourite looking weapons, but it's a shame that its performance from its Battlefield 3 days hasn't survived into BF4, as we'll talk about throughout this video. But being a carbine weapon, it's got many of the same stats as a lot of the other old kit weapons, starting off with its damage figures, which come in at the usual 25, dropping off to 15.4. That equates to the usual 427 shot kill, with the Ace 52 that I featured recently being the only carbine that can outperform this. One statistic that it does share with the Ace 52 is its rate of fire, unfortunately clocking in at the lowest value of 650 rounds per minute. In the case of the Ace 52, that low fire rate was kind of a trade-off for that high damage, but that's not the case with the G36. We're stuck with a slow fire rate plus the usual damage profile. The G36C is not too bad in the muzzle velocity department at 500 meters per second, but that doesn't really come into play when using the carbines in Battlefield 4, maybe with the exception of not having to track your targets as much as one of the slower muzzle velocity weapons, but overall it's not really a feature that stands out. It would be great if the G36C had zero recoil, which would have been a nice compromise for that slow rate of fire, but I'm afraid the G36C does come out with some quite bad values, resulting in quite heavy recoil under automatic fire. But if you control that recoil by burst firing, you can quite easily get your first and second shots from your bursts on target without much deviation, so I've given it a 2 out of 5. Magazine size comes out at the normal 30 rounds, that's nothing to worry about there. But again, we're left with quite a mediocre stat with its reload time, coming in at 2.1 seconds or 2.8 seconds from totally empty. Again, this isn't too bad, but there are weapons that can reload much faster, so again it gets quite a low rating. So as you can see from the stats of the G36C, the only areas where it really stands out with 4 points out of 5 are the figures that are actually shared between all the other carbines. So for example, the best features of the G36C is its damage profiles, shots to kill and magazine size, all the features that are available on pretty much every other weapon. When it comes to those stats that actually count, such as the rate of fire, recoil and the reload time, this weapon's unfortunately underperforming, which is a shame because it does look pretty awesome. It would have been nice if it could have swapped its stats or at least shared its figures with the AK-5C. That weapon's probably the most similar, yet it's a lot better in every area with a faster fire rate, faster reload time, lower recoil and even faster muzzle velocity. As it stands, there's no real reason to choose the G36C over any of the other weapons, with the exception that it's an awesome weapon from H&K and it's always featured prominently in movies and video games, which makes it a cool weapon to use. Without this cool factor, I probably would have given the G36C a 1 out of 5, but I did get some good games with it, and I do have kind of a soft spot for this weapon, with it being the first rifle I've ever shot in real life. Although that was the G36K, a slightly larger variant of the G36, but I'll throw a link down in the description if you want to check that video out of me shooting guns in real life, showing off my noob skills at a range in Vegas last year. But that pretty much wraps up my review of the G36C in Battlefield 4. As always, I'd love to hear your opinion down in the comments. Do you agree with my 2 out of 5 rating, or would you rate it a little bit higher? If you are a fan of the G36C, or if you just enjoyed my video or even learned anything new, then I'd really appreciate a thumbs up just to help spread the word and share the video with your friends. Adding likes and shares is really the best way of getting my content seen, so if you think my stuff's worth watching, then it honestly is the best way to help me out. If you've just stumbled across my Battlefield 4 weapon reviews and you want to see more, then don't forget to follow the playlist link in the description to check back on all the episodes that I've posted already. In that description you'll also find my links to Twitter and Facebook, so you can come and say hello and get sneak peeks on what sort of content I'm working on next. So as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all later.